County 911.
Hi. I have a young lady at my house right now, and she says her name is Jayme Kloss.
Okay, what's your address?
14. It's in Gordon, Wisconsin.
Okay, have you seen her photo, ma'am?
Yes, it is her. I 100% think it is her.
Are you okay?
100%.
Does it look like she's going to run?
No. She's sitting down. She's relaxing.
Okay, hang on just a second. What's your name?
Yep.
What's your name, ma'am?
Kristen Kazinskis.
Kristen, how do you spell your last name?
K-A-S-I-N-S-K-A-S.
Okay, did she show up walking?
Yeah, a neighbor just walked up with her to our house and asked us to call 911.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Are you cold? Do you need a blanket or anything? Okay. Do you need anything to drink or water or anything? Okay.
Kristen, is the neighbor that walked her up, is she still there?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Okay, hi. My name is Jayme Nutter. We have a cabin up here in Gordon on Oak
Okay, ma'am.
And I was
Ma'am?
walking, yes,
Okay, can I just get your name?
Jayme Nutter, N-U-T-T-E-R.
Okay, and do you have a cabin address?
121. I mean, I'm not up here very often in the winter. I just happened to come up today.
Okay.
I didn't want to bring her to my cabin because...
So how did she come up upon your cabin?
I was walking my dog, and we were almost home, and she was walking towards me crying, saying, "You got to help me, you got to help me."
Okay.
So I didn't want to go into my cabin because it's too close to Patterson's house.
And she said her name is Jayme Kloss?
Yep. And when I walked into this house, they recognized her immediately from a poster.
Okay.
So Jayme, do you know when he's going to come back? She thought he was going to come back home at midnight.
Who's going to come back?
His name is Jake Patterson. Jake Thomas Patterson, she said.
Okay, hang on.
And apparently his house is 2 doors down from our cabin. Oh, Henry, get off the couch. I'm sorry. You can just, why don't you hang on to him, Jayme? It would be good for you to pat a dog.
If you can't get any other information as far as vehicles and if anyone else is with there, so we're not walking into something we don't know.
So we're kind of scared because he might come.
Yep.
So if the cops could get here soon, we would love
I have many deputies headed that way. I'm going to keep you on the line.
Okay.
And she said, I am Jayme Kloss.
Yes. She said, he killed my parents. I want to go home. Help me.
And what was the male's name?
Jake? Is it Jake? Jake Patterson? Jake Patterson.
And she said he killed her parents and she wants to go home?
Yes. She didn't know where she was. When I saw her, she was saying, where am I? Where am I? And I said, you're in Wisconsin. And
did she say he's gone right now?
Yes.
Are they at a cabin?
Well, I think it's he lives there year-round.
And he's supposed to be back at midnight?
Yes.
Okay, hang on. Jeannie, you there?
Yes.
Okay. I've got multiple deputies headed out there, so I just want you to stay on the line with me, okay?
Okay.
Does she seem like she's going to need medical attention at all?
I would think yes.
Okay.
I was a social worker for 30 years.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, what do you think is her medical condition right now?
Well, I think shock and cold and
okay.
shock.
Ma'am, my deputy, he just wants you to lock the doors.
Okay, they would like us to lock the doors and not open the door for anybody but them.
Yep. And don't let the dogs out or anything. Just everybody stay inside until I can get deputies there.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm just going to start paging out medical. I'm going to have them stage in the area because I don't want anybody to come up into the house.
Okay.
Until the deputies get there, but I want them in the area, okay?
Okay.
Okay, just one moment. So where you're at, is there like a little, is it like a long driveway or like a U driveway?
Yeah, there's a new driveway here, right?
Like
yeah.
in and out? Okay. So if you were walking out of the driveway to go to that Jake's place, would you go to the right?
Left.
Okay.
You would go left, and then you would walk past one house. Then there would be our cabin. Then there would be another house, a cabin. People are hardly ever there. Then there's Jake's house.
Okay. Is it right, like on the corner on the left?
It's on a corner.
Okay. And that's a house.
Many, many cars in the driveway. Is that plug-in Santa still there? There was like a big plug-in snowman at the end of the driveway. I just tell you, we've been coming here 4 years. I've never seen his face.
Are you guys all in like the living room, or where are you guys at in the house right now?
Well, I was just making sure my dog was not scratching their door, so we're all in the living room. When they drive in the circle driveway, they'll see a porch, a white porch with a Christmas tree.
Okay.
And the blue cars parked by the garage, and then the door is on the side of the house.
Okay.
Do you want Peter to be outside?
No, everybody needs to stay inside. I know he wants to help, but they're just kind of figuring out who's going to go where right now.
Okay. And saying that he's going to be home at midnight is not a for sure thing.
Okay.
He doesn't know where he went or what he does.
Right. Okay, was there a deputy that knocked on the door, or you just saw him in the driveway?
They're in the house. The cops are in the house.
Oh, they're in there with you?
Yes, they just came in.
Okay, Jayme, perfect. Then I can let you go as long as the deputies are with you guys.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good job.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
On the 15th of October, 2018, 21-year-old Jake Thomas Patterson abducted 13-year-old Jayme Lynn Kloss from her family's home in Barron, Wisconsin. The attack took place at 12:53 a.m. after he forced his way inside and fatally shot her parents. Patterson took Kloss to a house 70 miles, 110 kilometers, away in rural Gordon, Wisconsin, and held her in captivity for 88 days until she escaped on the 10th of January, 2019. Police took Patterson into custody. Shortly after, he told them he kidnapped Kloss and murdered her parents. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping. On the 24th of May, 2019, Patterson was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional consecutive 40 years. After her recovery, Jayme Kloss now lives with an aunt and an uncle. Kidnapping. Jayme Lynn Kloss, born 2005, is the only child of James and Denise Kloss of Barron, Wisconsin. On the 5th of October, 2018, Jake Patterson drove to the Kloss home to kidnap Jayme Kloss. Activity in the home deterred him, as he was afraid he would leave witnesses. Patterson made a second attempt 2 days later but again aborted for the same reason. On the 15th of October, he made a third visit, this time armed with a shotgun. Shortly before 12:53 a.m. Central Time, 5:53 UTC, Patterson parked his car at the end of the driveway. Wearing a black coat and ski mask, he approached the front door of the home, carrying the shotgun. James Kloss, 56, shone a light on Patterson through a glass pane in the front door and asked him to show him his badge. Patterson called out, "Open the fucking door." Patterson fired once, fatally shooting Kloss. Forcing his way into the house, Patterson checked every room in the house because he wanted no witnesses left behind. He found the bathroom door locked and began shooting it down. Inside the bathroom were Denise Kloss, 46, and Jayme. Denise was comforting Jayme, who was crying loudly. At 12:53 a.m., Denise Kloss made a 911 call. While Denise Kloss did not speak, the operator heard a disturbance and yelling before the phone call disconnected. When the dispatcher called the number back, they reached the voicemail of Denise Kloss. Patterson bound Jayme's wrists and ankles using duct tape, then fatally shot Denise Kloss. He dragged Jayme outside, almost slipping on blood, placed her in the trunk of his car, and drove away. The police arrived 4 minutes after the 911 call. Patterson later told investigators that he pulled over 20 seconds down the road from the house. Deputies sped by with emergency lights and sirens on. Neighbors said they heard 2 gunshots but dismissed them since hunting was common around their homes. After arriving at his cabin, Patterson made Kloss change into a different pair of pajamas, then forced her under his mattress and sealed off all exits before going to sleep. Escape. Patterson believed that Kloss was too afraid of him to make any escape attempts. He never put special locks on doors because she wouldn't escape. They also slept on the same bed. Patterson would rarely let Kloss out of the cabin, only for brief walks on the lawn after checking for bystanders. On the afternoon of the 10th of January, 2019, Patterson told Kloss he was leaving for a couple of hours. He put her under his bed before boxing her inside with his belongings, per his usual routine. After he departed, Kloss pushed out the objects around the bed. She ran from the house wearing a light shirt, leggings, and a pair of Patterson's sneakers. Kloss came across a local woman, Jeannie Nutter, walking her dog. Nutter recognized Kloss from news reports and immediately took her to a neighbor's house. After police were called, Kloss told them Jake Patterson had killed her parents, taken her, and kept her prisoner just a few houses away from her current location in the neighborhood. The neighbors described Kloss as calm, quiet, dazed, and surprised that they recognized her from news coverage. The police arrived around 4:45 p.m. and removed Kloss from the area for her safety. The description Kloss provided for Patterson and his vehicle enabled deputies to spot his car just minutes afterwards when Patterson drove by the house. After a deputy stopped him, Patterson exited his vehicle and said, "I did it." A hospital admitted Kloss under guard. The next morning, they released her to the custody of her aunt, Jennifer Smith. Hormel, the parent company of the Jennie-O store where Kloss's parents worked, announced on the 24th of January that they would grant $25,000 reward money to Kloss for rescuing herself. Perpetrator: Jake Thomas Patterson. Born the 17th of June, 1997, age 26. Education: Northwood High School. Height 5.9 feet, 180 centimeters. Criminal status: incarcerated. Criminal charge: 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping. Penalty: 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole plus 40 years. Patterson's parents divorced in 2007. He graduated from Northwood High School in nearby Minot, Wisconsin in 2015. He enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps, but was discharged after 1 month at MCRD San Diego. Police did not believe Patterson had any social media contact with Kloss, or her family and relatives of Kloss did not recognize Patterson's name. Patterson told authorities he saw Kloss getting off a school bus outside the family residence in September while he was driving home from work and that he knew that she was the girl I wanted to take. Patterson's grandfather stated, "Something went terribly wrong, nobody had any clues. We are absolutely heartbroken. It's wrenching to deal with." He was shy and quiet, he backed off from crowds, but a nice boy, polite. Computer games were more of a priority than social interaction. Legal. Patterson confessed to police that he had kidnapped Kloss and killed her parents. He had no previous criminal history in Wisconsin. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of kidnapping and 1 count of armed burglary on the 14th of January, 2019, with bail set at $5 million. On the 27th of March, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of intentional first-degree homicide and 1 count of kidnapping. The judge agreed to dismiss the armed burglary count. On the 24th of May, Patterson was sentenced to the maximum of 2 consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole for the murders plus an additional 40 years for the kidnapping. Douglas County authorities did not pursue charges against Patterson related to Kloss's 88 days in captivity because they did not want to bring Kloss in for questioning and believed there was sufficient evidence to pursue a life sentence without parole without needing additional charges. While in jail in March, Patterson wrote a letter in response to questions sent to him by a reporter from a television station in Minneapolis. He apologized for his crimes and stated they were committed mostly on impulse, contrasting with reports from the police that he had taken various measures in preparation for the crime. He added that his intention from the beginning was to plead guilty in order to spare Kloss and her family the trauma of the case going to trial. Later that month, A television reporter in Minneapolis received a cell phone call from Patterson in which he briefly answered questions sent to him in a letter. Regarding the time Kloss spent in captivity, Patterson said, "We were just like watching TV, playing board games, talking about stuff. We cooked a lot, everything we made was homemade, you know." At Patterson's arraignment, his father had told a reporter that he had a note of apology that he was trying to get to Kloss. On the 20th of June, Jake Patterson was registered officially as a sex offender. In July, he was transferred from the Dodge Correctional Institution to an out-of-state prison in New Mexico and got in a fight with another inmate in August 2019.
I want to talk about the need to protect the public. I've been a lawyer for almost 40 years and a judge for the last 16 years, almost entirely in this county. And these crimes rank as the most heinous and dangerous that I have seen either here or anywhere else in the state of Wisconsin. The pre-sentence gives me a great deal of information about statements you made either in writing or orally. Some statements, as I understand it, were taken from your jail cell. No one else has mentioned them today, but I have to, because it makes a big difference in how I impose sentence. But I'm told through the pre-sentence investigation, I'm going to read from this, I started having bad thoughts all the time. Fantasies about keeping a young girl prisoner, torturing her, and totally controlling her. At first I fought them. I had no reason to live, and doing this was the only thing I wanted, but I was Christian. Fear of hell was the only thing that was stopping me. After a while, I stopped believing in God and I stopped fighting my fantasies. I thought about it every day. This was the summer of 2018. Now I was just waiting for an opportunity. I drove around a lot, just trying to get lucky and see a girl alone. After a while, I knew that it wouldn't work. I thought of how I could get away with kidnapping a girl. My biggest problem was always witnesses. I could control what I left behind as far as evidence, but not who saw me. That's when I thought of a home invasion kidnapping at night. I hadn't decided if I would kill the parents or just tie them up. It wasn't a moral problem. If I knew I killed them, it would get a lot more attention. But if I let them live there, if I left them live, there would be good witnesses. I finally decided it didn't matter how much attention it got. If I left no evidence or witnesses, it didn't matter if they sent 1,000 FBI agents if they had nothing to go on. Before I did this, I planned on taking multiple girls, killing multiple families. I wanted to treat them differently, play mind games with them. I also just wanted to scare people. I hated everyone, but no one in particular. Everyone I actually know I liked, but I hated society as a whole. I didn't care if I died. If I could get away with having the girl for a week, it was worth dying for. When I saw Jayme, I instantly thought she would be a good target. Actually, mostly it was she was the first girl I saw once I had those ideas in my head. Mr. Patterson, not only were you a danger to the Kloss family, not only were you a danger to the Kloss family, you are an extreme danger to the public in general. There is no doubt in my mind that you are one of the most dangerous men to ever walk on this planet. Consequently, regarding count 1, the court is imposing regarding the first-degree intentional homicide of James Kloss, I sentence you to life imprisonment without the eligibility for release on extended supervision. I am granting 134 days of credit already served. On count 2, the first-degree intentional homicide of Denise Kloss, I sentence you to life imprisonment without the eligibility for release on extended supervision, consecutive to count 2. And on count 1. And on count 3, on the kidnapping of Miss Kloss, I sentence you to the maximum of 40 years in the Wisconsin State Prisons with 25 years initial incarceration and 15 years of extended supervision, consecutive to counts 1 and 2. I also further order the mandatory lifetime registration pursuant to Section 301.45 and 939.615 of the Wisconsin statutes. I order the mandatory DNA sample and court costs. I designate Dodge Correctional as the reception center. Mr. Wright, is there anything you believe I have overlooked?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Glynn or Mr. Jones, anything you believe I've overlooked today?
We're going to admonish you as to
Right. Mr. Patterson, under Wisconsin law, because you're convicted of the felonies, you may not vote in this state, and you may not possess any firearms. I will give your lawyers written copies. They'll go through those with you down in the jail. Anything else? And then we'll send the appellate rights down too, so you can go through with them. We'll give you those documents. All right, we're adjourned.